Kiki, how you doing?
I'm doing so well. I always love spending time with you, so things couldn't be better.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. And honestly, I've been really, really excited to have a little chat with you because you are just so knowledgeable about so many things that I'm so interested in and like holistic health and things like that. So, and I think now more than ever is a time for people to really start to, increase their knowledge about things like holistic health and stuff like that. So I really wanted to kind of start off by speaking to you about that, because I think now more than ever is a time for all of us to take care of our immune system and our health. I think in today's society, we've kind of become conditioned that, it's so much easier to just take a pill of some kind to sort us out or whatever, but that that might help with some of the initial symptoms but doesn't really get to the cause of the issue. And so yeah, I just wanted to kind of get some tips from you about what you think people should be doing, especially over this time and maybe in life in general, to kind of help them with their immune system and with their health in terms of like natural remedies.
Amazing. Yes. Well, thank you so much. It's a wonderful topic. I know everyone is like stressing out about finding like the best, immune boosting tonic and like, implementing all of these immune boosting foods and supplements and all that jazz. So I do want to preface what I'm about to share with the idea and the reality that honestly, like boosting your immune system and having a strong, resilient body inside and out is really a choice, and it's really available to absolutely anyone. And the more that you stress around making sure that you're getting in all of your immune boosting foods and supplements, et cetera, the less powerful they're even going to be. So, I mean, I think it's wonderful if we can incorporate healing foods and herbs into our diet to help supplement and to help encourage the positivity from within. And that's how I've always looked at food and herbs. And so even how you've addressed it, where it's like, it really is just opening up a more holistic approach. And so if viewers or listeners are looking to just for that extra little pathway, my number one thing and something that I'm focusing on right now in terms of sharing education around it is adaptogenic herbs. And they're actually not immune boosting, but they're immune modulating, which is less sexy, but so much better. So everyone wants to boost their immune system, but I'm gonna argue that that's not necessarily a good approach, because here's the deal. Let's say you are having an allergic reaction. What would you actually want to do? You'd want to down-regulate your immune system. So everyone thinks that, oh my goodness, like, yeah, just let me boost my immune system. Like that's the only way to go, especially now. But what you actually want to do is regulate your immune system so that it is resilient and so that it's strong, so that when it gets weakened, it can go back into its equilibrium, its balance. And then on the flip side, if it needs to be brought down or down regulated, it would do that as well. So you really just want to strengthen that modulation. And that's where adaptogenic herbs really come into play. These are herbs that help your body do just that. They work on not only your immune system, but also your nervous system, your endocrine system, so your hormones. So they're all about bringing your body back into that key equilibrium point and that rhythm and balance. And so they work more subtly, which is, again, less sexy and exciting, but way more effective over the long term. And I think now is just the perfect time that we're all opening up to like, okay, sure, I'll try some other methods of, making sure that I'm at my most optimal self now that it really matters. And so now is the perfect time to start dropping like something like adaptogenic herbs onto your parents that might not have ever cared, or your friends that are just like, nah, I don't do that kind of crap. Because now we're all a little bit more open. I don't want to say all more fearful, because I hate that is sometimes the case where, and that actually literally downregulates your immune system, the fear. So drop the fear, but maybe use it as use the, the uncertainty as an opportunity to explore new fun things. And for me, I would really love to hone in on these adaptogenic herbs, just because they are so powerful in that way. They're literally magic, because what's something else that you can take that literally feeds into the intelligence of your body and knows what you need? Because that's the truth of the matter, is we're all unique and we're all completely different, beautiful, special beings. And so we can't all just take the same thing in the same way with the same dose. But adaptogens are amazing because you can take the same adaptogen and the same dose in the same way, but it's going to work differently in your body. And that's also why that they're not very popular, because it means that science can't prove that, like, oh, like take this and it will do that. And that's why they weren't really used in more Western medicine, because for Western medicine, you have to be able to be like, take this dose and to get X result. But with adaptogenic herbs, because, they'll bring you down if you need to, they'll bring you up if they need to. It's not something that can be mapped in like an Excel spreadsheet as easily as, a pill. But they have been, with that said, they have been used for thousands of years in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine. So there's definitely like the raw evidence of, even in, they first became popular in the modern world through the former USSR. They would use them for soldiers or elite personnel in order to boost their resilience, in order to recover from training faster. So many things that are completely just like cold hard evidence, especially rhodiola was one of those herbs, and Siberian ginseng. So it isn't just woo woo, like, oh, take it and they'll do whatever. There is hard evidence around it, but yeah, I could obviously ramble on forever about
Well, I think also for anyone who's specifically in like Canada and Toronto specifically, but also I guess like worldwide, you could do the shipping. Kiki's just created, I mean, you're just such a superwoman, but she's just created her own adaptogen gummies. So maybe you might want to like talk a little bit about them as well, because that does make it more accessible to everybody around the world. Because, as you said, it's more of like an Eastern medicine type thing, because it's very like natural remedy type thing. But so I think Western society sometimes gets a bit scared or doesn't even know how to use those type of herbs and, mushrooms or whatever appropriately. So yeah, your gummies, I think, are such a perfect way to introduce people to adaptogens. So maybe you could speak a bit about them.
Thank you. And I totally I hate being salesy. So like now it's going to seem like I'm just like tooting adaptogens.
No, I've got them in there. So.
Is not the case. And I do just want to, again, I'll preface this next chapter on anyone can get adaptogens basically anywhere. I have been preaching about adaptogens for years, and always at the end of my workshops, I have like the people that come over to me and they're like, where do you get them? Like, it's like this, like, who's your guy? And I'm like, no, like you can literally go to the health food store and they're like $10 in the supplements aisle. But so you can absolutely get them. What I've done is I've put them in a gummy form, and I say gummy form, but like totally clean. They're vegan. There's no sugar. There's no sugar alcohol. I'm very diligent when it comes to what I put in my body, and I wanted to be able to take these gummies. So there was a lot of reiteration on like a standard gummy recipe. But what I've done is I've put them in a gummy form so that people can take them on the daily, and hence why the name, they're called Adapt Daily. And it's because I fell absolutely in love with adaptogens years ago. And I noticed that they really, really worked for me, whether it was I was dealing with a period of intense stress, whether it was both emotionally or physically. If I started training, they were just like my little game changer, like hack. And so I started sharing them with clients and with friends and family. But number one thing with people that would like to change, or with supplements, let's say, is compliance. People are all down to like, oh my God, yeah, I want all the benefits. I want to do this. I want to do that. But but they don't actually end up taking something if they don't like the taste. So adaptogenic herbs typically taste like crap. Ashwagandha is otherwise known as horse sweat. That's like the other name for it. It's like literally the most disgusting thing ever. So if you give someone then you put it in like a tincture of alcohol, you're like, go enjoy, have it every day, 3 times a day, like knock yourself out. You don't even care if someone's going to tell you like, you're going to be Angelina Jolie at the end of it. You're like, I can't do it. So I'm like, okay, well, there's, and then the gummy idea came not only because I want people to enjoy them and to look forward to it and to make sure they're taking them every day, because the thing with adaptogens is they're magical, but you do need to take them consistently. You need to build up, sort of like if you have like a little chest in your body, and you want that adaptogenic energy to be there as a reserve. So your body can pull on it. Your adrenal glands can be supported when they need that extra support. Again, your body is very intelligent, so it will pull on those herbs when it's necessary, but you need to have a reserve, and that reserve can't be built up with like going to one super fancy smoothie bar cafe and being like, yeah, I'll take ashwagandha in my smoothie. Like, it doesn't unfortunately work like that. You just spent like $8.99 on a smoothie, but you're not necessarily adapting. But you know, either way, it's okay. I do it too. No judgment here. But so the actual gummy idea came because I also do workshops on cannabis for wellness and CBD. And so there's obviously CBD gummies. And then I thought, maybe I want to do like a really nice clean CBD gummy, because there aren't a lot. They often have sugar or sugar alcohols or crap. And so I'm like, oh, I want to do a really nice, good, clean CBD gummy. Except I'm super vanilla, and like trying to do cannabis in Canada, I'm just like, oh my God, I cannot be bothered. So I thought, cannabis is really an herb that is an adaptogen. It helps to regulate your circadian rhythms. It helps to bring you back into balance, right? That's your endocrine system. It's nourishing that. So I'm like, wait a second, there are a whole bunch of other adaptogenic herbs that are totally legal, kosher, like all the things that no one's going to come knocking on my door and send me if I do them in a gummy. And no one else is doing them in this way. And I just thought it was so weird, because everyone wants adaptogenic herbs. No one wants them to taste like crap. You do need to take them every day. Why not make it fun? So hence how that was came to be. And yes, we ship not technically worldwide, but I love your ambition. Right now we ship to North America. And honestly, I have shipped to like random places like Isle of Wight, and like people that direct message me and they're like, but can you ship here? I'm like, okay, fine. But literally I like lose money on it. So you're welcome.
What pressured you into that one? Like, thanks for that one, Kiki. Well, now she does, people. You're welcome.
I just bike it, deliver it. You know what I mean? I do personal deliveries. Yeah, sure, you're in Spain. Okay, I'll take it.
Well, something I also love about adaptogens is when I first started speaking to you about adaptogens was when I was saying to you not so much about my physical health, but about my mental health. I was feeling really lethargic and various other things, and you gave me some really useful herbs to be taking and tips and things. And I think, again, like the importance of what we ingest into our bodies, how that affects our mental health as well. You know, adaptogens show that so clearly, but so many things also show that. But again, as a society, we've almost like numbed ourselves to, okay, when I eat excessive amounts of sugar, it does this to my mental health, because we're not really told that unless you kind of enter into the more like holistic healing type realm. So yeah, and you told me about this book, which I have actually not finished, just as a little disclaimer yet, but I will. But it's called M-Braining, and it's about your 3 different brains. So your gut, your heart, and this brain that we know it to be. But obviously you finished the book, so maybe you could speak a little bit about that, because I think, again, now more than ever, you know, we're all having to like really take care of our mental health, being in self-isolation especially. So it's so important for us to be like on top of that. And I don't think we've necessarily realized how interlinked all those 3 things are. So yeah, maybe you could tell us a bit about that.
I flipping love that book. And I don't, I totally understand that you haven't read it all, because it's quite the read. It's not exactly the easiest flip through, like picture
information, but it's a great book already.
But it's all based on neuroscience. So I love it because it is, it's a very applicable route to this thing called mindfulness, and the idea that, you know, we have a head, heart, gut, brain, and that we can sync them up. And when they're in sync, you can follow your intuition, your heart, and the creative abilities of your brain, and therefore make very wise decisions that are in alignment with your whole self and your whole body, and just live life in your purpose. And so the fact that they were able to tie all of these, really do a deep dive into the studies and the science behind it, so that we can have something that feels a little bit more concrete. Because if you look back to thousands of years ago, this stuff isn't new. The idea of, you know, following your heart, even just looking at the language, you know, like, oh, well, what does your gut say? Or, you know, that was a really gutsy move. It's because motivation and action comes from our gut brain. And, you know, the idea of, well, oh, well, you know, when your friend is dating someone, you're like, oh, well, like, what does your heart say? It's because, you know, emotions and relationships with other people, that's wisdom that we get from our heart. And then, of course, our brain is more for, we think of it as more of like a theoretical, but it's also where all of our creativity, our creative talents come from. And so it is absolutely proven that we have these 3 different brains. And it's interesting because it's called M-braining, because they didn't want to say that it's 3 brains. It's not head, heart, gut, because they 100% believe that there will be several other brains that we just don't know about right now, but they will emerge in the research. And I believe I spoke with an MBIT coach not too long ago, and I was like, what's the 4th brain? Like, give me the insider scoop. And I think that it was liver, in terms of, and when I say brain, I hope that I'm articulating myself correctly when I'm about to, with what I'm about to describe, but it's essentially the reason why we can call all these 3 different areas actual brains, is because of all of the neural pathways, and like the very thick limbic system, all of the neurons that are communicating within one another. So there's, I would say the figures, but I'd mess it up. So, but there's basically a lot. There's a lot of intelligence going on. There's a lot of networks, and they very much parallel the brain. Now, there's more in the brain in the head, but the very interesting thing is that they're all in communication with one another all of the time. And so when we isolate and follow only one of our brains, then sometimes the other brains don't agree, and that's when you can have physical symptoms, you can have emotional symptoms, you know, these things that come up. And it might simply be and I think we've all been there. Think of a decision where you just felt torn, and you just felt like, okay, well, my head says this, but my heart says this, but my gut. And so imagine your life if once all of that could be more understood, and not to say that, oh, once you get it, then they always agree. It's just a matter of being able to tap in and having that awareness and that intuition, so that you can actually call on one of those brains when you feel like they're out of sync, and ask it what it needs, and so that you can sync them up. And a really nice exercise that I could suggest for viewers and listeners is coherent breathing. That's the number one way that you can have all 3 brains communicating with one another. And that's simply slow, big, deep breathing, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, 6 seconds in through your nose, and then 6 seconds out through pursed lips. Doing that even 3 times, and try to do it multiple times throughout your day. I mean, even if you have to set a little alarm on your phone of 3 different pauses throughout the day where you literally take 60 seconds, everyone can fit it in. No one's that busy. Even like, and I'm the kind of person where it was like, Monica, you asked me to come on the show, and I'm like, can we do like 17 days from now? So I'm one to talk, but we all have the time. And so, yes, it's a wonderful book, but you can also just like go online and search M-braining, and you can just read a couple blog posts if you don't want to read the whole book.
That don't really think that if they're hearing, you know, listening to your gut and all that kind of thing, if they're not thinking that they, you know, they think it's all a load of hippie, you know, whatever. But for me, I think, you know, even because we've done some mindfulness eating, which I'm going to talk about in a second, but even that in itself just shows how clearly we aren't in touch with our body in general so much of the time, because we stuff our face with food, and then it's only 20 minutes or whatever later that we realize how full we are, to the point of sometimes feeling sick. And so that was something actually that I also wanted to speak about, is the community that you've created online. So you do your self-love Sundays, and it's part of so it's the ex-professionals group, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we might also be ex-professionals, but ex-perfectionists.
Ex-professionals.
Some of us are ex-professionals, though. It's true. Yeah. Freudian slip. Yeah.
That's it. Sorry. But so it's part of that whole like Facebook group, and then the ones that I've been doing with you have been the self-love Sundays, and the last one that I did with you was the mindfulness eating one. And that, yeah, just breathing before you eat, it just gets you so much more in touch with your whole body in general. So I think that's a really, really valuable tip to give people. But also I just want to say thank you to you as well for the community that you have created with that, because I think, now more than ever, again, for our mental health, it's like we're craving those type of communities and that deeper connection. So yeah, amazing that you've created that. I think that's really, really special. And yeah, maybe you might want to speak a little bit about the ex-perfectionist group.
Now you're gonna get me saying the ex-professionals. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna say so to like the next person I talk to. I'm like, join my group, the ex-professionals. They're like, wait, I want to be a professional. No, you don't. No, the ex-perfectionist. Yeah, so that was actually a relatively new initiative. I've always struggled with ensuring that my disordered eating is a thing of the past. I struggled with orthorexia, and basically it all came down to a limiting belief around I need to appear and seem perfect to others in order to get ahead in life. And I think that I had to do a lot of self-development work to figure out why that was, and did a lot of inner child work, and what my story was that led me to that limiting belief. And for me, it was really this idea of, oh my God, I have to be perfect or everything won't happen. All of the things that I want, I won't get there. No one will love me. Like and once you're aware of that, and again, the embraining techniques, all of these things kind of help to bring that out. Once you're aware of that, you can make the decision to change, and change is so much easier once you know the source. And so, for me, self-compassion has been the real game changer in terms of healing my own relationship with food. I know that for many of my friends, my clients, they struggle with the same thought pattern that I had, which is, yeah, no, I don't really want to love myself or be super compassionate, because then I'm just going to get like fat and ugly, and like I'm just going to like I don't want to love myself regardless, because then I won't work out, and then I won't like eat well, and then I won't like, do all these things. And the truth of the matter is, it's actually the opposite, because when you deeply, deeply care about yourself, you care for yourself. So for me, I was at a place where I was just, all I was doing was binging and restricting. And so I was so desperate that I'm like, fine, I'll give this like self-love like crap a go, just because I had no other choice. But my mission now is just that I don't want people to have to get to such a low point where I was just vomiting and just hard. I couldn't move on with my life because I was at such a low point. And I want to help women that you don't need to go that low to make that amazing realization that self-compassion will not turn you into a couch potato. Self-compassion will actually help you become healthier, and if you need to be slimmer and fitter and all of these things, but you'll be doing it from a place of love and enjoyment, and it'll be so much easier. And trust me, like exercising is so much easier when you actually like it and you just do it when you need to, versus like every day being like, oh my God, I ate this, so I need to do this, or like or eating out of just pure like, okay, well, this is the rigid rules, but rather eating from a place of joy and actually enjoying every bite. And the truth of the matter is when you enjoy every bite, you need less bites. And so it's so counterintuitive, but it's like, actually, if you just eat whatever you want and do whatever you want and like do it out of care and love, you're actually going to make all of the right decisions. And I 100% believe that. And it's just a matter of helping women just absolutely believe that as the truth that it is that you can, once you love yourself wholeheartedly, you don't need any of those rules or the restrictions. But so the work is just getting to love yourself. And that's why I started this Self-Love Sundays initiative, where we walk through some sort of exercise or a meditation or something quite tangible where we can actually practice this art of self-love and ex-perfection living, which is quite perfect in the end.
And I think also, like, in terms of, we're talking specifically about what you eat and things like that. But as you said, it's not just focused on your eating habits. It's also focused on like meditation and all these different things, like your mental health. And I think that's the key thing with this sort of like trick, is that it's a lifestyle choice. It's not just like, one day I'm just going to like starve myself. And then, yes, you might see the on paper result that you were after, but then in terms of then, check back in a month's time and it could have gone the whole other way. And so it really just needs to be a whole lifestyle choice, because that's the only way that we're going to sustain positive mental health, physical health, emotional health, all of it combined. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful gift that you're giving everyone. So thank you so much for creating that community, and thank you for coming and chatting to me as well. There's just so much useful tips and advice and insight and wisdom in there. So thank you so much. And where can people find you on like Instagram and online and stuff like that, Kiki, to get more information?
Thank you for asking. So on Instagram, it's me by Kiki, MEBYKIKI. And then if you're on Facebook, which I know like Facebook is like for millennials, there's like, or rather for like, not for millennials, it's for like baby boomers, like our moms are on Facebook. But I really wanted a community where I could share more long form content and actual meditations and articles and things like that, where I think that can actually help people in a way that you sometimes can't get across on Instagram, although I love it because it's so aesthetically beautiful. So if you are on Facebook, I will not judge you, because I am too. And you can go to my group, The Ex-Perfectionists. And that's also, it has the invite link there for Self-Love Sundays if you wanted to join us.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kiki. And yeah, keep shining your light everywhere you go. You're doing such an amazing job with everything you're doing. So thank you.
Ditto 1000%. I love you.
You too.